Mary Reynolds, welcome to Climate Action Live.
Thank you, Jeremy. It's lovely to be here.
So, Mary, the first question I wanted to ask you, you are a reformed landscape designer, best-selling author, and founder of the global movement We Are The Ark, acts of restorative kindness to the earth. Could you tell us about your mission and your latest work?
I started off as a landscape designer and I was very successful. I worked around the world. There was a movie made about part of my life where I made that success called Dare to Be Wild. And it kind of brought me to a wide audience. And then I started to slowly realise that we were not working with the land the way we should be. That each one of us had become colonizers of the planet through our own patches of it. And we had pushed all other living beings out of our own patches of the planet in order for us to have our creative pleasure with whatever we wanted to do with the land. And we imported and filled our gardens with non-native plants that were nothing to do with the web of life. And there was a moment where I came to this realization, which was quite a strong moment for me, where I was sitting at my window looking down over my lawn and I saw a fox run past one morning. And it was winter time and there was 2 hares chasing the fox. This is in Ireland where I live. And that was unusual in itself. And I kept watching this kind of patch of brambles they run into and I realized there was a hedgehog chasing them in the same direction. And it reminded me of Noah's Ark when I was a kid, stories. And I went outside and I went in the direction they were coming from, and at the end of a country lane across the road there'd been this really strong emergent woodland, a native collection of thorny plants and gorse bushes and hawthorns and blackthorns and roses, and somebody had got planning permission to build a house at the top of the field. It was about an acre. They'd gone in with a digger and they'd cleared the whole thing out within moments to make a garden, without any thought for the creatures that called it home. And I had done this myself so many times that was the end of that part of my career. And I went back inside and I started this movement over a period of months called We Are The Ark. And I called it acts of restorative kindness to the earth so that nobody thought it was some kind of religious thing. And it's a very simple idea. It's just that we really have to build a new world. And people are extremely concerned about the fact that they feel they can't do anything about the earth, that there's very little they can achieve. There's very little tangible things they can do to be part of the solution to the collapse in nature that we're facing. But this is one that we can do, is we can take every patch of this planet and we can give it back and restore native plant communities and create habitat for creatures so they actually have some hope,
Amazing, Mary. Amazing. Can I ask you, it's June 2024. What's your assessment of the current situation in relation to our journey of protecting our planet and its people?
Well, at the moment, I don't feel like we're doing anything that's really very useful. I think there's way too much talk. People are very fond of talking. And I don't think we have any hope if we continue talking. It's good to talk, but I don't think we're going to actually achieve anything with that level of talking that we're doing. And I think people feel like once they're talking about stuff that maybe they're doing something, but I don't think we are really, So I don't think we have any chance if we keep going down this road the way we are. We actually have to step up, and none of the changes are going to come from the top down. All of the greatest changes in the world have come from the bottom up, from small groups of people that are passionate and that are willing to adapt their lives to make huge changes in the world, on a local level. And all of the destruction is local to somebody, and so the solutions must be local to somebody too,
Mary, we spoke earlier today and we talked about, the period of time if we don't make changes that, humans may have here on this planet. And you talked to me a little bit about how everything, was interwoven, which of course makes complete sense. And I'd love you to talk to us a little bit about that, how careful we really, really need to be.
scientists reckon there's about 8.7 million species on the planet, and we've only recognised and catalogued about 1.2 million of them so far. And yet we are losing them before we've even met them. There's between 20 and 200 species going extinct every single day. That's the estimate. And it's our fault, you know. And the thing about it is that of every single one of those creatures have a very important role to play in the web of life, in keeping everything, you know, basically it's an ecosystem. It's a collection of creatures that are all interdependent upon each other. They're all completely connected, and we don't even understand the connections most of the time. And if you pull one of the threads out of that web, the web starts to break because they're missing their dependencies, they're missing their connections. You know, all of those threads are really important, and they form the structure of this web. And the web is what creates the immune system of the planet. It's what allows the planet to continue to give clean air, food, water. All of the things that we take for granted are completely dependent upon nature functioning well and in abundance with life. And we're destroying that. So if we don't know at what point we're going to pull that really important thread away that causes the web to completely collapse, because some of the threads are more important than others. And we have been pulling them out. And I mean, you know, since the onset of chemical agriculture in 1970, we've caused a complete collapse of life on this planet. So we've lost 78% of our insects since 1970. We've lost, you know, 70% of all the wildlife populations have been wiped out since 1970. So basically, we have caused a massive jump over the side of the cliff since the onset of then, you know, the 70s. And that's only 50 years. And 50 years in the lifetime of humanity is nothing. It's not even a blink of an eye. So we're causing a massive extinction event. And so, you know, really, the most important work left to all of us on this planet is to reweave the web of life back together so that we have any hope of solving any of the problems. No other problem is going to be as big as not having a livable planet. So if you hear someone say, well, it's really expensive to create a public transport system that gives people complete freedom, but also considers wildlife crossing over those roads and takes people out of cars, you know, which, you know, there's so many massive problems we've got to face, but none of them are as big as not having a planet to live on. So we have to take them on. That's it. There is no other option. And so, you know, this whole idea that we can do little bits of talking every year is we haven't time for that. We're out of time. We are out of time. And we've forgotten that the only possible place for humans in this web of life is at the centre, is as the spiders of the web, to reweave it back together. Because we have to become guardians of this planet, not gardeners anymore. We have to step up and do everything we can so that we can survive.
Amazing, Mary. Incredible to see you talk about it in that way. And I don't know, it's incredibly revealing and inspiring and informative, and it makes me just want to engage even more than I already do. I mean, it's just really, really incredible to hear you describe it in that way, and I'm sure to others too. And it brings on nicely, actually, to the phrase, no climate action, no peace. Could you talk to me about what you think when you hear that statement?
I do feel that that's absolutely true, because you can't. Everything is connected, and you know, in every culture of the world, our ancestors understood that the health of the earth was completely mired in the health of its people. And as we destroy nature, society and culture collapses as a direct result, you know, and we're wiping out the planet, and it's causing massive societal problems and migration problems, where people are desperate to get away from war, desperate to get away from lack of resources. We can't fix the climate and the collapse of nature without addressing the fact that there's a massive imbalance caused by capitalism. And we're at the end stage of capitalism now, and everything is falling apart. And, you can't eat money, you can't, we really have to stop thinking about life on this planet as individuals and start thinking as communities, and how we can support each other and how we can support communities around the world. And I often hear these ridiculous statements from, global agricultural corporations saying, that's all well and good, but we have to feed the world, and all I have to say to that is, no, we do not. We have to support the world to feed themselves, All of the solutions are local, and most of the food grown in the world comes from small family farms, and yet the greenwashing that we've been subjected to on every level of society has destroyed our belief in our own sense of instinct. We know that all of that isn't true. And we can see what corporations are doing. We have been colonized by corporations for so long now that they're wiping out everything on the planet. And we have to step up and push back and build ourselves back up from the ground up so that we can restore life, on all levels. Our planet is being wiped out by greed, and it has to start. The solutions have to start at home with your patch of the planet. If you want to save the planet, start with your own patch of it. Then that's it, or else you're just waiting for someone else to do it for you.
Given the global crisis that's unfolding, Mary, do you think we have the ability to stand together as one and unite to protect our planet and each other? And also, what advice would you give to people to make a meaningful impact in relation to our survival?
I think it remains to be seen, whether we have it in us to care. I care, you care, but do enough of us. That's and I think the reason that people don't care a lot of the time about people all around the world is that they feel they have no power to make a difference, and so my movement is about empowering people to restore life in their patch, and that turns them into activists, and they go out into their local communities and they see what can be done, and the most important thing that you can do is to look around your local world and see where the destruction is happening, and then build communities around activism against that local destruction. See what you can do with what you have in your home, in your own world there. Think about the obvious things, find out who's polluting your local rivers, Find out who's dumping stuff. Find out where are those chemicals that are leaching into your seas coming from. All of these possible solutions, they're local. And your activism has to become community-based. And I think that's really, and then anything you can do to support people who have no power, who have no voice around the world, please step up and help them,
Finally, Mary, if people would like to support you in your work, what's the best way of them doing that?
Yeah, they don't have to support my work. They have to support their own land. And they can find my information is free on the website, wearetheark.org, or they can buy the book. But, books doesn't bother me if nobody buys the book. You can get it from their library. If you can't afford to buy it, you can order it into the library, but the book is a very good example. It's a very good list of how to step by step build an ark instead of a garden, and what we need to do and the solutions that we need to take on. The obvious things that people don't even know about, such as lighting. Lighting in people's gardens is one of the major causes. Lighting in gardens, roads, urban areas, things that we can change in our localities, There's so much that can be done, but we've been given the idea that really all we can do is recycle cars and buy electric vehicles, or recycle plastic and buy electric vehicles, and they're not solutions. None of those things are solutions. Most of the solutions we're being offered are industry supporting solutions. They're not nature supporting solutions. So you have to learn how to think for yourself again, because most of the time, most of the stuff we're being told is lies, and they don't want things to change. They don't want change to happen because it's easier for them just to keep going the way it is. Nobody wants to change, but what do you want? A livable planet, or do you want to keep going with the systems that have us locked down as slaves, We have to change everything. And the only way we're going to manage to start in our own local communities and change everything there. And there's enough of us around that can make the difference then.
Yeah, well, Mary, thank you so much. It's been amazing listening to you. And I'm really grateful for your time. So I hope that people find out more about Mary Reynolds and look at the book however they can get a copy of it, as you pointed out. But I wish you the very best in your journey, and thank you for educating me and inspiring me today. You're amazing. Thank you, Mary.
You're welcome.